Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. JC here with another video on Action Taimanin. Today we're gonna check Annerose's Let's Play after Renewal, but before we start, don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe if you enjoy the content. So, Annerose received a renewal. It is impactful, yes, very impactful, but I gotta say it right from the start that it is very difficult for any character to be meta defining after Sora's renewal. But even so, it is worth noting that this is extremely good. There are some design flaws or maybe design choices that Grimoire did that actually make this not like super busted, but let's check what it can do. And a quick highlight, remember that right now we have the two packages which offer copies of the weapon, also Demonite over here, gacha coins, a bunch of skins. On each pack you will receive the desire skin, and this one also offers Annerose, which is still paywall, but at least this offers way more value. Like, this is probably the best pack you can get for Annerose right now. They reset this one for those who already bought the copy of Annerose, and you could get another copy of the supporter, but honestly, right now the best option is to buy this one, the Reborn package. Now, very quickly, let's also go over here to the gacha. If you want more copies of the weapon, which is really competent, you should consider rolling on the gacha. Though it is a little bit difficult because of the current banners that we have. So, anyways, let's get right into it. So, Annerose, chain number 1, the model. It looks really smooth, but I don't like the armor skin, Yaksha Morphosis. I don't think it doesn't look good because it stopped looking like an armor and now it looked like some kind of bodysuit. But every other skin is great, amazing. They look super smooth, super nice. Yeah, so if you like them, well, that's a good thing about the renewal. Then we're gonna start with the leader skill. The leader skill, Yaksha's Wrath, says each time a skill is used, you gain 1 stack of Yaksha's Wrath and it stacks up to 3 times. Using the skill when Yaksha's Wrath is on a full stack depletes the gauge and activates Yaksha Unbound. That's pretty good. You now don't need to equip Yaksha Unbound, which was one of the best skills for Annerose, but she is one of those characters who really wants to have the Heavy Shika pack. And now she also wants to have the Heavy Shika pack. Unfortunately, here we have the first flaw in design about this renewal. And it's the fact that it doesn't include the phrase each time you use a skill is used or you finish your basic chain combo. Like, they should also have considered the basic chain combo, because that means we don't want to use the basic enhancer anymore. That's the only issue that this leader skill has. But honestly, it's a pretty good leader skill. So this is great because it's going to define how this character plays, and it's her whole identity now, which is great. Now, let's check the skills. I'm going to highlight the ones that did receive a change, but I'm going to go quickly over all of them. So, melee attack, during normal attacks hold attack, 11-second cooldown, performs a short launch forward and performs a consecutive attack by rapidly piercing the enemies with sword strikes for 2 seconds. So, this skill was introduced when they were starting to consider super armor on every skill, and that's why it has gained super armor on the first set effect. But then these two effects change. So, performs an additional attack at the end of the skill, making the enemy groggy. Before, it used to what was the description? Let me check. It says knock back the enemy. Now it makes the enemy groggy. That's way better because the enemy is gonna keep is gonna stay in place, and you're gonna be able to keep attacking it while it's stunned. Unfortunately, that's an issue with enemies with super armor because it doesn't affect neither the knockback nor the groggy status. But you can take advantage of it every now and then, so that's fine. But the most important change is that previously the third set effect gave you 50% critical rate, and that was it. Now, on top of that, it gives you a 40% speed reduction for 7 seconds. That's busted, guys. Like 40% is a really big number. Honestly, we have numbers beyond that, like Spinel's supporter Spinel, red supporter Spinel active, that does a 100% speed reduction. Also, Rinko has a skill that makes a 100% speed reduction for a second, but this one 40% on 7 seconds. Really decent. 7 seconds is when the duration starts to be good enough to consider for a cohesive strategy, rather than just to do a chain combo that gets a small buff or debuff. So it's really nice. So yeah, you can abuse Annerose on green Annerose on a super slow strategies now. That's great. Then Madosen also receive a buff. So yeah. By the way, the delay of the skill of Hyakuretsu-sen has been reduced. It says delay before using the skill has been reduced, which is great. That enhances the activation. And the same can be said for Madosen. It says the delay before and after using the skill Madosen has been reduced, and its basic effect and slot effect have changed. So that's gonna be melee attack, hold attack, 11-second cooldowns. Previously, it said the delay slashes enemies with enlarged blade and deals an area attack. Now thrusts forward with an enlarged blade, dealing an area attack ahead, restoring HP equal to 3% of damage dealt. Well, I'll read the whole thing before I start commenting. The other change is going to be to supporters, assist type supporters. So add area attack at the end of the skill and restores 3% of damage dealt. Now increases speed by 10% for 10 seconds. Lastly, the suppress type effect. It says stun the enemies, now decreases the enemy's defense by 10% for 10 seconds. So good things, bad things. I prefer the previous animation, like when it looked like a huge knife, it was silly. And now it is smoother, it looks great, but it is a matter of preference. That now, the good thing is that they added the HP recovery on all the colors. That's great. That makes these skills super reliable, super useful, and you'll probably want to use it. The speed increase is okay, honestly. It's like not the most busted thing out there, but 10% on 10 seconds, well, it's a decent buff that we can use. And basically, you'll have perma buff because with the cooldown reduction, you're going to be able to use this skill before the 10-second cooldown, so it's great. Then, 2 blue reduces the enemy speed by 10% for 10 seconds. I mean, usable, not exactly cohesive, but usable. And then the red one, that's the issue. So, decreases the enemy's defense by 10% for 10 seconds. So, I'm gonna go forward with another skill just to check one thing. And it is this one. Rymax reduces the enemy's defense by 10% for 10 seconds. So that means that you don't want to pair Madosen with Rymax. Gremory constantly does this kind of anti-synergy so that you go with specific builds. And I really don't like that. I prefer that they make all the skills be able to mix in different ways and provide different benefits, rather than telling us, well, when you use Madosen, you don't want to use Rymax, and when you use Rymax, you don't want to use Madosen. And you're gonna see the synergy why you don't want to use Madosen. It's not just that 10%, because remember that the buffs, if they have the same percentage, they are not going to stack. They're gonna reset. So yeah, Anyways, let's go to the next one. Yaksha Ito style. That's another one that got enhanced. The delay before and after using this skill Yaksha Ito style has been reduced. And that's it. Unfortunately, it received... it's not exactly a nerf, but rather we are not incentivized to use this anymore. In most situations, only for very specific builds like a particle charge build, we want to use this, but otherwise we would just avoid, because we cannot activate the leader skill with this. So yeah, that's unfortunate. They missed the mark just by this little detail. Oh, God, that's awful. Well, one supporter increases damage, two supporters increase damage by 10, by 20%, and then increase particle charge amount by 50% with 3 supporters. The usual stuff. Then, Rymax. So, Rymax is a range attack, hold the bait, 17-second cooldowns. Orders a contract demon to summon an ice axe that deals area damage. That's good. That's actually pretty good. They didn't change this skill because it was already pretty busted, so I don't blame them. And now, let's check the effects. 1 red reduces the enemy's defense by 10% for 10 seconds. 2 red, increase ice comes out of the axe and inflicts additional damage. And 3 red increases critical damage by 250%. Yeah, honestly, they could have changed the first effect so that instead of a debuff, they added an attack buff, or they could have added an attack buff here so that they could have synergies, but well, they didn't want it that way, so it's what we have. But it's fine. Fang is another skill that didn't receive a change. Melee attack, dash attack, 9-second cooldown, stabs the enemy with a charging attack while moving forward. Main green increases speed by 10% for 10 seconds. Main blue increases defense by 10% for 10 seconds. Main red increases damage by 10% for 10 seconds. So yeah, this is like the death sentence to Madosen on red. Yeah. Well, Yaksha Unbound. Yaksha Unbound did receive changes, and they are meaningful enough. So, the basic effect and slot effect for the skill Yaksha Unbound have changed. It used to say Extreme Dodge activates the witch's senses that increase critical rate, damage, and defense for 4 seconds. Now Extreme Dodge activates the witch's senses, increases critical rate, damage, and defense for 6 seconds. So they increase the duration for 2 seconds. That's great. On assist, it used to increase the duration by 2 seconds, but now it gives an additional attack buff of 10%. Which is great. On blue, increases the defense by an additional 20%, and on red, increases critical rate by an additional 20%. So, green is going to be the way to go on high-end content. I mean, of course, red is also pretty doable because of the supports that we have on red, but red is going to be way more F2P friendly and beginner friendly because of that free critical rate. So take that into consideration, guys. Then, darkness. I swear I saw the increased darkness, but no, it is not on the notes. So, yeah, darkness is the same. Range attack, hold attack, 15-second cooldowns, throws a trunk in front to conjure a magical circle that drags enemies and deals damage over time for 4 seconds. 1 blue reduces the enemy's defense by 10% for 10 seconds. 2 blue increases the duration by 2 seconds. 3 blue increases the skill damage by 150%. This is the skill that most people don't use because blue is already kind of difficult to build. Not as difficult as it was in the past, but still not everyone's favorite color. And it has the... wait a moment. Skill damage? Critical. No, it has a skill damage, so at least has a damage increase on the third effect, so that's fine. Divine Wrath. Divine Wrath is one of the attacks that I don't like. I don't like follow-up attacks. But I'll admit, they did great with this attack, and now it's really worth considering. I might learn how to use follow-up attacks just because of how useful this is, particularly for Annerose. Let me explain. So, very quickly, it's a melee attack, immediately after attack, dodge, 3-second cooldowns. And now, what it used to do. The basic effect for the skill Divine Wrath has been changed. Teleport to the nearest enemy and performs a falling attack with Dark Lightning. Now teleport behind the nearest enemy and performs a diving attack with Black Lightning and creates a field of lightning on the spot. That deals damage over time for 3 seconds. Yeah, that little adjustment they did makes this a little bit more valuable, because you're going to deal damage, and this is going to interrupt the actions of those enemies who do not have super armor. It's going to chip away the super armor of those who does, and well, it is worth considering. Not to mention that it also is a quick activation that we can do to increase the stacks of Yaksha's Wrath, so that we can have Yakshan bound all the time. So, now, let's check the other changes that they did. It's the only change. In that case, 1 green electrocutes the enemy. 1 blue adds 1 more stroke of lightning. 1 red increases damage by 25%. Honestly, it's just a quick way to get stacks of Yaksha's Wrath. So consider using this one, especially if you have the 4th slot. Devour. This skill was pretty good. Now it's even better. It's amazing what they did with this one. So, what is Devour? Melee attack, double dash, 12-second cooldown. Previously, wait, there's more. The delay after using the skill Devour has been reduced, and its basic effect and slot effect have been changed, so it is faster to continue with your combo now. Previously, whips black strands reach out from the sword and restore HP by 3% of damage dealt. Attack range increases when the skill slot is applied. Now, flail tendrils extending from the sword that deals an area attack, restoring HP equal to 3% of damage dealt. Pull enemies in when slot effect is applied. So, yeah. So now it has integrated the pull effect on all the colors. Previously it was on only one color. Now it's on all colors. Now, what else does it say? 3 protect. So previously pull the enemies towards the character, and now pull an enemy toward the character and does additional damage. So it does an additional attack. And maybe it pulls with a greater force, or it pulls more enemies. They don't exactly mention that, because why would they keep the word pull if they already have that effect on every color? I don't know. Then stun the enemy, because I haven't noticed the difference. So stun the enemy. On suppress, on 3 suppress, it stunned the enemy. Now it decreases the enemy's defense by 30% for 10 seconds. Busted? Yeah. Busted. Like, these 3 changes are extremely impactful, along with the leader skill. So, yeah, that's one thing. And green, it still reduces the enemy speed by 30% for 10 seconds. 30 and 40% speed reduction. Basically, Annerose can be a slow supporter by herself on green. Great. So, this skill is just too good to pass on. You should always put Devour. It is the best form of HP recovery. Maybe the only exception would be blue. But, I mean, you can use it. Especially with multiple enemies, this is going to be very good. Lastly, is Grudge. Grudge is a range attack, hold the bait, 7-second cooldowns. And it says, the skill Grudge has been fixed to enable attacks by using the attack button while in counter's attack stance, and its basic effect slot have been changed. So, it used to say, assuming a stance to counterattack the hugely reduce incoming damage, and when hit, things come out of the trunk and counterattack enemies. Now assumes a counter stand and greatly reducing damage taken. When attacked, contents of the truck burst out and deal a counter to the front. Unsuccessful counter, gain 1 additional attack on Yax's Wrath. So there's a lot of benefit of using this skill now. Previously it was the one skill you didn't want to use, or unless you wanted to do a fun build. But now you can activate the counter yourself, and if you do it properly, you're gonna gain another stack of Yax's Wrath, which is great because you accelerate how many stacks you have. Even so, it has a stiff competition with Divine Wrath, considering the timing you need to cast it. But you could use them on conjunction, pair with Devour or Madosen, and then Rymax or Hyakuretsusen, or Darkness. So yeah, it is really, really good. So yeah, let's see. Well, let's check the color effects. So the only change is for Protect. Previously, it used to knock down the enemies. Now it reduces the enemy speed by 20% for 5 seconds. So yeah, usually you want to use this on blue or red, but red is kinda niche because it has the same command as Rymax. But let's see. Green makes the enemy groggy, yes. And red increases the damage of the skill by 50% by changing the things in the truck into ice axe. Into ice axes, okay. Yeah, supposedly it's going to deal a good amount of damage, but I mean, it's no Rymax. So yeah, Annerose is pretty good, guys. So let's test her very quickly. I'm gonna over here and I'm gonna connect my controller and adjust this little glitch. There. And done. And now I have to put Annerose. I'll just do this. It is faster. There. Annerose. We put the supporter. So I'm gonna be using the weapon. The weapon is 3 out of 5 and plus 15. I don't think I'm gonna roll for the weapon, though I'm gonna get it with tickets. Vouchers. This is going to enhance the effect of the action bound, and it's going to give you a lot of damage. It's honestly one of the best weapons. I don't want to say the best, probably the best, sure. But, I mean, it's difficult to compete with Kahirako. God, it is so good. Increases your speed and gives critical damage. The problem is that it works with stacks, so yeah, that's an issue, but still pretty good. So I'm gonna use this 3 out of 5 plus 15. Critical damage Magatamas with water element. Whatever attack Magatamas on the subslot. Whatever weapon 5 out of 5 and plus 15 on the subslot. Devour to recover HP and debuff the enemy. Fang to buff my damage. Rymax to deal damage. And for supporters, I'm gonna use Asuse. I'm gonna use... Wait a moment, where am I? Oh no, I tested this on a different floor. Because, yeah, this... no. I was thinking about Ingrid. I was testing Ingrid, but no, I can do this. Sword Dance Asuse with penetration and also critical resistance reduction, which is going to be pretty useful. And if I put it on the main, it's also going to give me critical damage. That's why we have to put Asuse on the main. Then Melt, because Melt is basically the red... what's the name of this girl? The Red Kana. Is the Red Kana. Which is going to give us a 10% damage increase for each buff that we have. And Annerose now wants to abuse buffs. And lastly, I'm going to use Fujitsuki, which also gives me a buff. And it's going to give me up to like 70% damage increase. So it's pretty good. And not to mention that this one also gives me a special buff. So basically I'm going to have between 20% and 50%, maybe more, up to 60% damage increase with this one. So yeah, it is worth considering Melt. Trust me, I have always said that this is a good supporter, just that we don't have that many scenarios where we use it. Start off the skins, start training, and let's do this. Honestly, it's gonna be really simple. Annerose is extremely strong right now. So we start by debuffing. I use this and then delete. And we're gonna repeat everything, but we want to wait a little bit. Yeah, just like that. 1, 2, and 3. I destroy all the mobs now. And you can see how much damage I deal. I use the active and... ooh! This close. I'm gonna use a basic so I can keep the stacks. Yeah, just like that. Perfect. Now, I'll use Rymax. And she deals so much damage that it isn't that hard to eliminate this enemy. And you know how tanky those enemies are. So, yeah, that's great. And I just do Rymax and done. So, yeah, pretty nice. Okay. So, for the combo, I start with a buff, then I use Darkness, and then I use Rymax. And Spinel, no, Lina. Lina is almost done. So yeah, pretty busted. And the weapon, as I mentioned, is 3 out of 5. So this can be even stronger. Yeah. Permanent supporter, event supporter, so that's F2P. And this is a limited one, but honestly, so it does help with consistency. But if you have your weapons at plus 15 and 5 out of 5, let's say your arena weapon, of course, and the weapon of your choice, you can just substitute this because you're going to have enough critical rate for Susune. Or something else. You're going to debuff the enemy thanks to the power. So, yeah, you can substitute this. Don't worry about this being pay to win. No, it's not important, this specific supporter. Now, let's go with a different color. So, for blue. I didn't save the builds, so I'll have to do them myself. For blue, first of all, we have to check the skills. So, we use... I'm going to use the power just to show you how it looks. Like, Madosing, we know how it looks. And the speed reduction is pretty useful. And the extra attack is kind of okay at most, but you probably want to check it. Grudge, yes. Oh, but if I do Grudge... Okay, I'll use my Dosen just because of the synergy. Like, I wasn't thinking about the synergy with Grudge. So, this, and this. Oh, yeah, I cannot use... Grimry, why do you keep putting, like, commands, shared commands? These are shared, why? Well, so, Madosen. Instead of Madosen, yeah, I guess I use Devour. So, for blue. With Devour, I have healing, so I don't need to worry about healing. I can use this one because of the huge damage increase on the main effect. Then I can use... I could use Bright and Rose just like that. But this is an assist? No, a suppress. No, I cannot use Felicia. It is a demon. I could use Sayaneo, but I don't need to use Sayaneo. I can just use, yeah, this one. And I guess Annerose, yeah, like 40% damage increase, 40 and 40, and this one gives me a 26% damage increase, and then 3 stacks of 16% damage increase. So yeah, that's each one stack is going to give me 16% damage increase. It is a lot of damage. So let's start by using this, and I counter, and you see that I gain my stacks. So let's just destroy everyone. And then I'm going to grudge, and I use my stacks, and I do darkness. And why are you over there? Okay. And now I just do this. Yeah, I took a long time to do my activation, but okay. There. And now I just eliminate the enemy. I also use that. Ah, it's not a damaging active. It is a familiar active. Oops. I forgot about that detail. So yeah. Well, it is fine. It is fine. Devour. And then I use darkness to deal with the enemies. And no matter the color, she's able to deal with this enemy, which says a lot about this character. So, double stack, and then... No. My buff. Well, good enough. Now I'll just eliminate this one. And... there. Oh yeah, I didn't think about the animation. Even so. There. There, nice. And now I just use darkness. Oops. Lena is not in the way, so she's not receiving almost any damage. But darkness again. And now she's gone. So yeah, Annerose is a great damage dealer. So just to mention, Annerose is still able to perform her supportive role on Bloom. For that build you would want to use Bouquet Sword. And definitely you want Grudge. And unfortunately you cannot put Madosen next to Grudge, because you want Darkness. So you can put whatever you want on the last one. The Devour, I think it's fine for the most part. And for the supporters of that build, you want to use obviously Mirabelle paired with Haru over here, and Worshipper Lapis as usual. So let's finish with green. Mix, I mean, you can do mix. I'll talk about it, but we're not gonna do a build on mix. So for green, there's options. Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna use Taimanin Mora, which gives the most damage in the game, though it has to snowball to that point, so it is not like the best option, but it is a decent option. Then we're gonna use the other two best supporters on green. This one and this one. Yep. These two are gonna give you a huge amount of damage. And now, for the skills, we use Hyakuretsu Zen. We're gonna use Devour. Yeah, let's do it. It is so bad that Madosen is so overshadowed by Devour. Even though it is a great skill now, it just... Devour offers so much more with the heal on most colors. Only blue is better. But you saw that blue is difficult to use. So... because of the commands. So yeah, let's see. What is the last one? No, we don't want this one. we want... Yeah, we can use Medosen actually. Like, it is particularly useful in this case because I'm gonna be pretty squishy with this one, so I have double the healing. So it's a good idea. And the buff is nice. I'm gonna keep using the weapon. Though, it is not a bad idea for this particular build to go green because you're gonna abuse the fact that the enemy is slower. So yeah, that's the thing that you can do. So let's do it. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm not... One of these is not giving me any benefit. I do have the demon effect. I do have the critical rate on melee, but I haven't been using like the right formation. I should have put the damage increase for suppress type characters. So yeah, that's another thing. My god, her animation is pretty fast. Like, now that I see this on the screen of my computer, it looks so smooth. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. Look how slow it is! God, it is amazing! 1, 2. Can I wonder. Yeah. Since it has a long animation, it's good. Wow. She's amazing. She's amazing, guys. So, yeah. And even so, she's still not on par with Felicia. Not Felicia. Sora. I mean, I'm glad for Sora. But yeah, she's so overtuned that it is difficult for everyone else to compete with her. I like when the characters are like on par, and yeah, perhaps one of them is always going to be at the top, but when the gap is not that wide, I think that things are okay and you can compete with different characters. But honestly, this was a step in the right direction. This renewal was a step in the right direction. But Sora is too overtuned, and I don't want her. And I don't want her to receive a nerf. Honestly, I just want everyone else to get buffed so that they can compete against her. So, yeah. So wow, that's pretty decent. So talking about mixed builds, should you care about them? Should you not? Well, number one, you're not going to be able to use Devour, so you're forced to use Medosen, which, as I mentioned, it is a pretty decent skill, though overshadowed by this one. Which would be the best effect depends on context. With Kahahirako, probably green. With a damage-based strategy, probably red. For control, blue. Then, on this one, you probably want the main red. Fang Strike is going to be amazing because it gives you the damage increase, and then you do either damage reduction or damage increase for the enemy and speed increase for yourself. So that would be good. But then what do we have? Well, technically you can use Hyakuretsu-sen even without the last effect, because it deals increased damage and it is a pretty good skill. You could also go with the basic enhancer, but the basic enhancer is more for particle effects. And in that case, remember to use I don't have it right now, but the summer weapon, the fish road, which I don't have right now because it's on the armory. So yeah, that's a thing. So let's get right onto the weapons. So, what does Annerose offer? Well, since she has so many, I guess like she actually cares about the SRs. Starting with Senketsu. Senketsu is worth mentioning because it gives you HP restoration, and that's kinda good at the beginning, but Annerose already has HP recovery on mixed builds and pure builds, so she doesn't need this weapon. So yeah, unfortunately, it is pretty useless, though it's one of the useful SRs for this specific character. Then we have the snake weapon. Does this work with Annerose? Yeah, it does. So the snake weapon, it is a filler slot on your weapon for your particle charge strategies when you want to use ulti spam. Why do I say so? Because the stats are not great. They are lower than the standard UR, so you don't want to use this in most situations. Then we have Yomotsu Ikusa. This one increases normal attack damage against snare enemies by 15% and normal attacks deal damage against random enemies. But you don't snare the enemies, so you're not going to take advantage of this unless you're on a snare team, and that's probably one of the worst debuffs in the game because it keeps the enemies in place, but they can attack you. Let's see. Then we have Kahehirako, one of the best weapons for Annerose or any character, honestly, that can equip it. It increases the speed by 10% and increases critical damage by 1% for 8 seconds whenever you attack an enemy. Stack up to 50 times and loses all the stacks upon being attacked. So, honestly, really good. The base speed increase is already great, and the extra damage that you're gonna deal, even though you're gonna lose it constantly, it's also appreciated. Then the PvP weapons, the demonic weapon, which is useless as usual. Not fishing pole. So this one is actually useful for ulti spam strategies. Is Annerose a good character for ulti spam strategies? Hey, not exactly. Like, while she has a good amount of multi hits, she doesn't have great speed buffs. She has a speed buff, but it isn't like 20%, it's just 10%. So even with the right supporters, she isn't the kind of character that you want. Though her basics are competent, they are not on the level of Espinel, so they are not on par with Espinel. So you don't want to. No, I keep saying Espinel. I don't know why. Of Felicia, she is not on par with Felicia, so you don't want to use that one. Then, the Momochi weapon. I mean, the Momochi weapons have risen so much in impact thanks to Total War. They are very useful. Definitely a worthy weapon to use in normal content and Total War. Not for VR though. Then, well, on the exception that you use the Annerose supporter, only then it's useful on VR, but otherwise not. The ambitious weapon. This one, I say ambitions with big quotations because this one given to us through an event, but at the same time, the stats. No, actually, the stats are fine, but it is not an impressive weapon. Increases the basic attack damage by 5% up to 10% for 7 seconds when using a skill. No, this wasn't given to us through an event, I think. No, it is the ambitious weapon. Yeah. Increases basic attack damage by 5% for 7 seconds when using a skill. Stack up to 3 times. So up to 30% damage increase for the basics. Usable, I guess. Usable. Slashes the enemies, quickly dealing damage and removing one buff from the target at a 50% chance. So you deal damage and you have a not guaranteed chance to remove one buff? Wow, just what I needed. An RNG effect. Yeah, this is not great. But it was made when the ambitious weapons were not great, so it is understandable. This was the one that was given to us through an event. So, Demon Enslaver. So, you can notice right away that the stats are lower, and that's the issue with this weapon, because the effect is pretty decent. It says reduce the cooldown of Rymax by 2 seconds, increases damage of the ultimate by 30% when it's 5 out of 5, and increases the damage against super armor by 30%. again when it's 5 out of 5, but it is a decent weapon, honestly. Though the stats prevent this weapon from being usable. No. The like obviously a character who shares weapons with Asagi is going to have many weapons. So the Berserker weapon, not the greatest, honestly. Increases damage dealt with ultimate by 25% up to 50%. When HP is under 20%, goes into Berserk mode, deals for 10 seconds. Berserker increases speed by 8%, increases damage dealt to all enemies by 8%, and makes the damage taken from all enemies. And damage taken from all enemies increases by 8% too, so you become frail. And it also heals 25 of lost HP when the Berserker mode ends. Activates every 25 seconds. Pretty bad because of the long cooldown. Because technically it's risky. It is not for Annerose in particular because she has her own ways to heal. So you can take a big hit and then you get the buff and then you heal again and you have a 16% damage increase and a speed increase. Which it is not even as good as Kahahirako's. The ulti damage increase is worth considering for ulti spam. But as I mentioned, like, Annerose doesn't really want to do that. Then, we have Dawnbringer, no. Sakura, no. Cherry, no. Nope. Oh. Garland Sword, no. But rather Bouquet Sword. Bouquet Sword increases range and pulling speed of darkness. And allies within the range of darkness have their critical rate increased by 25% and damage by 10%. Excellent weapon for buffing your characters. But it is not on par with the best buffers in the game because Annerose isn't a buffer. If you put the right equipments on her, the right supporters, she can perform the role. Sure, anyone can. But it's not like she has the skills that buff the whole party. That's another thing they could have done, like added Yakshan Bound for the whole party. It would have been way too busted, but I would have loved to see that. Then Gundari. The effect of Yakshan Bound increases by 30% up to 60% and resets the cooldown of the skill with the longest cooldown time remaining. So that's amazing because you're going to spam your leader skill. Then increases critical damage by 30%, that's up to 60%, and increases skill damage by an additional 20%. That's so much damage. So, yeah. Let's talk about Annerose. Should you get Annerose now with the renewal? Well, probably yes. She's strong. Really strong. Just to put you into context, the first character that we used to get a great score on Total War was Spinel. I'm gonna show you my relay score. No. It's over here on this button. So, Spinel here with a great supporter and a Momochi weapon user with blue build is giving me, with blue build I mean Mirabelle supporter and everything make to enhance my damage, is making over here 3,700,000, let's say 700 damage. Annerose on a build that I just like mixed together, that have kind of the same kind of damage, all melee, all suppress, surpasses that damage. I use Kahahirako. I didn't use the Renewal weapon because I have more S levels of Kahahirako and I wanted consistency. But this was my first score with this team. So yeah, I didn't even check if I could go beyond this score. So yeah, she's stronger than Spinel. With a team that doesn't synergize as well, because this one is a great supporter that increases damage. So yeah, it is definitely strong, this character with the renewal. Though we still have the issue that it is pay to win, it is paywalled. Um, Honestly, they have given us the opportunity to purchase this at a discount. It still doesn't fix the issue. There's still that controversy, but it has passed some time, and fortunately, Grimoire has learned. They have not released another character who is paywalled, and they already released Car, which is kind of a called up character. So okay, that's good. So honestly, I would say get this one if you can afford it. Unfortunately, it is still paywalled, so probably you want to buy this pack at the very least because it is really good. It has the Desire skin, it has a copy of the weapon, and it has a copy of the Annerose supporter. So yeah, it is good. It is definitely good. So well, let me know in the comments what you think, guys. Do you think she's busted? I I mean, I don't think she's on par with Sora, though. Though people are using this on Total War. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe she's gonna start climbing the ladder because I saw one Annerose. Wait. Did I? Yeah, here she is. Look at that. Maybe she's on par with Sora. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, this equipment doesn't look like cheating, so maybe she's on par with Sora. Maybe she's just that good. So, yeah, anyways, let me know what you think. And that's all for today, guys. I hope you found this useful. I'll be seeing you next time. Bye.